I'm going to demonstrate how to use the GraphEcon Google Drawing template to make near professional quality economics graphs with minimal effort and minimal technological expertise needed. And we're using a tool that everyone should have access to, a Google account and a web browser. The copy of the GraphEcon template is shown here. I'm going to demonstrate how to make a simple supply and demand graph and label the equilibrium. This is designed to be easy for both students and instructors. If you're using it for student assignments, it's an easy tool for them to use. It has most of the lines and shapes that they might need, but you're still able to challenge your students to construct the model, label the axes, the title, etc. So let's get started. I'll call this the supply and demand, say, for electronics. I'll say market for electronics. I will label the vertical axis with P for price, and I'll label the horizontal axis Q for quantity. Everything that is in this checkered box will be in our final graph. Everything that's outside it will not be in our final graph. When we download the graph, those things won't be there. And we can copy and paste any of these objects that we might want to use. So I'm going to copy and paste this X for both the supply and the demand. You can do Control-C, Control-V for copy and paste, or Control-D for duplicate. That makes a duplicate of that, and I can drag it over and resize it. And I have a supply and demand graph. I'm going to shorten it just a little bit to make room for a label. I'll label my supply curve. I'm going to copy this piece of text here. That's one character. Control-D for duplicate. I'm going to bring that over here. And instead of calling it T, I'll call it S for supply. I'll do another Control-D on that to duplicate it. Bring it down here, and I'm going to label this demand. I would like to label my equilibrium, price, and quantity. I can take this object here, which has both dotted lines and a point. Control-D for duplicate, and I'll drag it over. If you need some precision in dragging, you can hold down the alternate key and then drag again, and you can get it just right. And then I'll drag that down to the origin, and now I have the equilibrium point identified and dotted lines going to the price axis and the quantity axis. I will identify those pieces of information. Do Control-D for duplicate on this piece of text again, and I'll drag that over. I might call this P subscript 1. You can do Control comma to make a subscript, and I'll put a 1 right there. I'm going to duplicate that item right there. There's another P1. I'm going to drag that down here, but call that Q1 for my original equilibrium quantity. Let's suppose there's an increase in income in this economy, and as a result, there's an increase in demand for electronics. We can add that piece of information to this graph if we would like. I might call this D subscript 1. Again, I did Control comma for the subscript, and then I typed a 1. And I'm going to add a new demand curve for when there's an increase in income. I'll make that the color red. Demand curves are downward sloping, so I'm going to use this one up here in the upper right hand corner. Control-D for duplicate, and drag that over. About the same height as the original. And bring it down here. I will duplicate this red text label over here. Control-D for duplicate. Bring that right here. I'll call that D2. Again, D subscript 2. I'll label my new equilibrium quantity. I'll use this red dot tool, Control-D. Oops. I will use the alternate key to give me some precision in identifying that point. Again, I'm just holding down alternate while I drag it for that extra precision. Again, drag this to the origin. I'll use the red text label here, duplicate. Instead of T, I'll call that P subscript 1. I'm going to duplicate this for not subscript 1, we'll do subscript 2. I will duplicate this and bring it down to quantity and call that Q2. I might want arrows to demonstrate this is a rightward shift in demand. I could do that. I'm going to grab one of these rightward pointing arrows over here on the right. Control D for duplicate. And I can show it shifting to the right like that if I want to. Maybe I can make a couple of them. Duplicate. Maybe put one down here. Perhaps I'm interested in demonstrating that there was an increase in price and an increase in quantity. I could use another one of these arrows and highlight the, oops, you can drag these and make them bigger and smaller, of course. I'll show the increase in quantity right there. I might want to show the increase in price also, so I'll take an upward pointing arrow, duplicate, drag that over here. All right. And pretty quickly, near professional quality, supply and demand graph, just using Google Drawings. If I would like to download this as an image file, I could go to File, Download, PNG. The file downloaded, I can see it down here. I'll open it up, and there's my graph.